Hi everyone, I'm Jane and welcome to Lesson 8. And Lesson 8 is starting to bring the neuroscience in that is behind MYTERN. It's not just all red and green roads, rough and smooth and pet and tip. There's actually neuroscience behind it all. Now, even in adults, there are times when we get out of control on either a rough or a smooth road and we really don't have the words to express it. And so I created hand gestures that make it so much easier. So the first hand gesture is like this. Now, your thumb here represents your amygdala, and your amygdala is the fight, flight, freeze side of you. It's what you do when there's something chasing you. Like if this little guy suddenly thought, well, there's a lion here. Do I run? Do I stay? I mean, by the time he's thought of that, he's been eaten. And it's the same sort of thing. If you're standing in the middle of the road and a car is coming straight for you, you're not going to stand there and think, oh, will I go that way or that way? You're just going to go. And that's your reacting part of your brain. It's your amygdala, and that's what it's for. But unfortunately, we're using this part of our brain way too much. So how do you get from here to here? This is your prefrontal cortex, the front part of your brain, which is your thinking and your creative side of the brain. Now, when you're out of control, this happens. Now you can see the thinking part of your brain has virtually run away. And you know when you're out of control and someone says, why are you doing that? Or what are you doing that for? And you say, I don't know. Well, you know what? You usually don't, because your thinking brain has gone away. And also, if people around you know what that means, it's so much easier to do that than say anything. Because if you do that, that means you are on either road out of control. You need space so you can calm down and get back in control. So how do you do that? So this is your amygdala and this is the prefrontal cortex. And so somehow you need a bridge to get from there to there, so you can start to think, calm down and find a solution to the problem or to the tip that has sent you out of control. Pets are the things that create the bridge that take us from the amygdala to the prefrontal cortex. When you're like this, your thinking brain is here. So it's too late to try and invent a pet, isn't it? That is why it's so important that you understand what your pets are before you lose control. So that once you've lost control, it's easy to access from your bank of pets something that will bring you back in contact with your prefrontal cortex, which is so powerful. I also use a metaphor for the neuroplasticity of the brain. Basically, what neuroplasticity means is that you can change the neural pathways within your brain, which is incredibly exciting. So you can change your habits, but it takes time. The metaphor I use is bush bashing as opposed to going down a 6-lane highway. Because a lot of us have a 6-lane highway that we go down, but it's going to a destination we don't really want to go. For example, if we come home really stressed, we might eat a whole lot of chocolate or have a whole lot of wine or beer, and we overdo it and it becomes a tip. But this is a 6-lane highway and you've done that same habit time and time again. So that 6-lane highway that is going to a destination you don't really want to go because you know what it's like when you get there is really hard to change. And this is when you start changing your thoughts, which creates a new pathway. And it's like bush bashing to begin with, but the more you go down it, the more it will end up becoming your 6-lane highway. And that's what neuroplasticity is. So this is what the language of MYTERN does. It actually changes your pathways. By saying, you made me or it's your fault, you are the victim. So you're going down that 6-lane highway. And by using the language every day, you start to create, no, I am choosing. And you create your own new pathway that puts you in control. The different language of using rough instead of bad. This one The bad road is sending you to a destination where you feel you're failing, that you're not good enough, or you have shame and guilt because you're feeling those red road emotions. Whereas using the word rough is starting to create a new pathway that is saying, no, this is just part of the balance of life. So these aren't just simple words that you're using. What they're doing is they're creating a change in your thinking, your neural pathways. And the more you do it, the more this becomes a habit, and you don't even realize that this is where you're going. You've forgotten that this even existed. It's all overgrown. How cool is that? So I'm glad you've been able to listen to some of the neuroscience behind MYTERN. There is more, there's neuropeptides, there's all sorts of things, but I don't want to drown you in one lesson. So it's knowing about being out of control and the amygdala, how you're just reacting, you're not thinking, and how to engage a pet and regain control and get back in touch with that prefrontal cortex, which is so important. Okay, so enjoy that neuroplasticity of your wonderful brain and the way that the MYTERN language is helping you change your patterns. Okay, see you at the next lesson.